Okay guys, so today we've got a tool review for you on this really cool pneumatic 20-ton bottle jack from the VEVOR company. I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to the good people over at VEVOR for sending this tool out to me to review and test for you guys. So just want to take a quick look at what we've got here and we'll get to the details. This is a 20-ton pneumatic jack with a dual purpose of a normal bottle jack use, which is just using the hand jack. Now I'm always on the lookout for cool tools that can be used in or out of the garage and can make your life easier, and this one caught my eye because of its dual purpose and dual functionality. Anytime a tool can be dual used or have an expanded usability, it will give you more justification in buying the tool. So that's what we're looking for. So this one's really cool because I can use it in the field, an emergency tire change, or a trailer emergency, or if you're just trying to level out a deck, or anything you really need to get some leverage or some height or some stability or some lift on, this one will give it to you. So, and if you have the luxury of being in the shop and having air, you can hook it up to a air compressor with your pneumatic abilities here and use that as well. So I'm super excited to try this out and see what it does and see what it's good for. So let me give you some quick dimensions on this thing, just to give you guys an idea. I'd say the footprint on this is about 6 inches. We'll call that 9 inches, so 6 by 9. And then we'll call the height on this thing about 11 inches. So, and just as per any other bottle jack, we can start out with adjusting the ram set here, and fully extended, we are going to get an additional 3.5 inches. And the ram itself couldn't be, or the piston couldn't be more than the size of the jack itself. So I'm guessing it's 7.5 inches. So 7 and 3.5, you're probably going to get about 10.5, maybe max 11 inches of full lifting height on this. So that should be enough to get whatever job done you've got. So we'll see what it does. Okay, so when you get this in the box, it basically comes ready to use, just like this. It looks really good. It's got these nice powerful springs to help you retract the piston when you're done using it. At first glance, it looks really nice. It looks like a quality tool. It also comes with your handle for manual jacking. And I've never seen this before. This is kind of cool. It comes with a little set of holders to store the handles. So that's kind of cool. And then it also comes with a trigger that you can use with a lock on if you for some reason want to keep it locked on for your pneumatic hookup. So it also comes with a nice, really easy to read manual that has a set of instructions on how to use and the setup procedures. The setup procedures that it calls for are to, first of all, bleed out any air bubbles that might be in the system from shipping or whatnot. And then it also wants you to check the oil level. And then also, finally, to get this going, I'm not really familiar with this style of nipple. It isn't what I use. I think I pretty much use a standard, I think a 1/4 inch air compressor nipple. So we'll need to change that out as well. And then she should be ready to give a good testing too. So let's get started with that. I think what it first asks me to do in the instructions is to open up the valve about 1.5 or 2 turns, and then it wants you to pump this 6 to 10 times to release any of the air bubbles that might be in it. So that should handle that. Now let me take a look at the fluid levels. What we've got here is some of these things have like a screw in, screw out situation. This one here appears to just be a rubber inlet, kind of an insert. So I should just be able to pull this out. Yep, and it came right out. And then what I want to do is try to see how much fluid is in here. They want you to have the fluid right up to the bottom of the hole. It's not like a dipstick or anything. This is kind of how you have to test it. So what I want to do is I'm just going to tip this a little bit and see how long does it take for it to kind of spew out of the hole on me. And let me grab a paper towel. That'll tell me kind of how much fluid is in here. So we're going to tip it. Oh, and there you go. That is that had to have been just right here. I do have hydraulic fluid in a funnel, and I was prepared to fill this up, but to be honest with you, that is, I mean, it's like right here. That came out almost immediately. So I don't think we need to add any fluid to that. So cool. One less step we need to worry about. So let me pop this plug back in. It's really nice that this comes ready to go out of the box and you don't have to do a bunch of things to it. I suppose they probably could have shipped it without fluid, but they didn't, and that was nice of them. So looking good. Fluid's up, the bubbles are out. So let's just see what happens if we try to use this thing a little bit. I just want to make sure and test the operation of it. This facing forward so you can see it. We will close up the valve and see how it works on the manual setting. And it's working. Coming up nice. Looks good. And I can use that if I need it. All my weight on it, it's not falling, so that tells me that it's, you know, I'm not 20 tons, but I mean, it's holding pretty good, so that's good. Now let's drop it again and see. It's really nice that it has these springs on it because otherwise you'd have a heck of a time pushing this piston down. It's kind of hard forward here. Loosen this guy down and see, she comes down all by herself. Let's tighten it back up. And the next test we're going to want to do is we're going to hook air to it. But I can't do that until I change my fitting on it. Okay, that's good and tight. Okay. So what I want to do is just change this fitting out real quick, and that's super easy to do. You can either use a couple of crescent wrenches, or if I've got you a handy bench vise right here, just very lightly hold this in place. And see, that wasn't even very tight. Almost like they knew you were not going to be able to use theirs. I'm not sure. Never really seen one like that before. I do have a standard 1/4 inch with thread tape already on it. So I should be able to just thread this in. Goes right in nice and easy. Get your crescent wrench on it and very carefully cinch it down. You don't want to go too tight and break the plastic housing of this trigger. And that ought to do. That's it, man. We're good to go. I was barely holding this in the vise. I mean, you don't want to mark this up or crack it, just enough to hold it from rotating on you. So just be careful when you use that kind of tool. You should be good to go. So what I want to do now is test this out. And another cool thing I want to show you about this is this rotating assembly here. This is really nice because, you know, if you've used air tools a lot, if you're in a tight spot under a car or under a deck or whatever you're using this for to get this, to use this tool or any air tool, air hoses can be a hassle. So when you have the ability to move this around, really, really nice. It'll keep your frustration level down. So let me get an air hose. And we should be able to hook this up. Hopefully there's no leaks or anything weird. Sounds good. Don't hear anything. This still rotates. No leaks, no problems. We're good to go. Our valve is closed. All right, so we got this trigger here. We will just give this trigger a shot and see if it makes noise. Very good. Did it come up? Yep. It's coming up. Okay. Pretty cool. Still no leaks. Still working well. Looks good. Let's try to lower it down. It should work just like it would anyway, without the air. It comes right down, Really nice, these springs help you retract. I'll tighten it back up. Okay, that's pretty much it, guys. It's so far so good. It came shipped right to my door. It looks good. I know it's a really good price point tool, and it is has done everything it needs to do so far. All I did was changed out the fitting that I needed, which is a standard problem to have. It isn't leaking. It came full of fluid. It's passed the first 2 tests so far, but what we really need to do now is put a load on it. So I've got a mid-size vehicle and I've got a full-size vehicle. I'm going to pull those into the garage here one at a time, and we're going to attempt to lift this manually and with the pneumatic feature, and we'll see how it does. Okay guys, so for this test we are going to see if this jack will lift the front corner of this 2018 Jeep Renegade, as if we were needing to change a tire or check brakes or something along these lines. So I've got it on the factory lift point, hooked up to air. So let's give it a shot and see if it works. Okay, cool. Well, you can see my air compressor had to turn on, so that's to be expected. This is a pretty air needy tool. It's definitely gonna need a lot of air no matter what. So it definitely lifted it, no problem. Smooth and everything, and I'm off the ground right now. So this is good, successful test. And then we can see I should be able to now come in here. Let's say I wanted a little higher, or let's say I didn't have the air at all and I was doing this all by hand. I should be able to pump this up more. And it is with ease. I'm not even pushing hard. And it got higher. So yeah, pretty cool. So successful test. Let me just lower this back down. Make sure that it works well. Nice and easy on the lower. Makes a really cool sound too. And she's down, and I'll close it back up. So pretty good, really smooth. I'm really impressed. That worked just great. It goes pretty slowly, which, there's a time and a place where that would be really handy. Like if you were trying to level the corner of a deck, let's say you had to replace a pier pad or some rotten posts and you needed to level it and you wanted it to get very small increments on how you were adjusting the height of something, that would be really nice to have that really incremental lift. But it's not like it took all day and I didn't have to do any manual labor. It just worked. So anyway, very good. We'll move on to the next test. Okay guys, so for this test, we are going to attempt to lift the front end of my 1992 Chevy K1500 four-wheel drive lifted full-size Chevy pickup truck. Now, the jack isn't tall enough to just kind of come in here on the side like I just did with the Jeep and just lift up one side. So we are going to go and give it a torture test, and I put the jack underneath the center frame member of the truck, so it's going to have to lift the entire front end of the truck up. Now this is nowhere near the limits of the jack itself, a 20-ton jack, but it's going to be a really good test of it. And if anything, it's going to be a test to see if I have enough air compressor volume and motor power to facilitate this kind of lift. But I'll be pretty impressed if it lifts up the entire front end of this truck. So that's the test. We'll give it a shot and see how we do. So here we go. Make sure this is on. The air compressor is on because I'm sure it is going to need to kick on during this. So wish me luck. Here we go. Wow, guys, I'm pretty impressed. It just lifted the entire front end of my Chevy truck up with ease. Kicked my air compressor on. Obviously, you heard that just for a little bit of it, but I've still got, I'm guessing I've got another 3 or 4 inches to go that I could lift this thing. So we're clearly off the ground. I could now change both front end tires. I could take and do throw some jack stands in at this point and service the front end or check the brakes or change the tires or rotate or whatever I needed to do, especially in an emergency situation. Sorry. This would be more than adequate. This is really, really cool. I could have done this by hand again with the jack handle, but the fact that my homeowner grade mid-sized air compressor will push enough air to lift the entire front end of this heavy old truck up, I'm pretty impressed. So, hey, we'll call that a success. So, all right. I think that'll do it for this one. Okay, guys, so my final thoughts on this tool. Really cool. I'm really impressed. This is a really nice jack to have. I think it's going to be a great addition to my garage, and I think it will be a great addition to anybody's garage, to be honest with you. So the people at VEVOR have been really good to deal with. This thing shipped out, got here in a couple of days flat. It does what it's supposed to do. It works as advertised. I haven't got any complaints. It's just a nice little tool. We've been able to do the pre-setup operations as they wanted, and we were able to successfully test it out. And I'm impressed. So there will be a link in the description for this tool. I suggest you check it out, and I highly suggest that you get one of these picked up for yourselves. Also, like I said, check out all the stuff they've got on their website. They have a lot of really cool stuff to buy and choose from. So I think that's going to do it for this time. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.